Welcome to the Unity Spiritual Center, Pflugerville. What date is it? Today is February, March 12th. Good. Thank you very much. Our topic today is you are complete and whole just as you are right now today. Now that's an affirmation that speaks the truth about who you are with a capital T. And I want to explain that. I want to make sure that we understand. And I admit that I beat this over and over and over again. Because I'm convinced that myself and a lot of us don't really understand who we are. Because we've been so conditioned that we are human, we have to deal with the human world, and the human world is full of problems. Agreed? So what we're talking about today is we are, each of us is complete and whole. Completely and whole. That means everything is okay. So I would like everybody right now with me. We're going to say this affirmation together. I am complete and whole, just as I am right now today. You ready? 1, 2, 3. I am complete and whole, just as I am right now today. Another affirmation to go along with that is the one that Jesus did, but I objectify it for each of us. God and I are one. I and God are one. I and the Father are one. So a lot of people think this is really dangerous. We're in the blasphemy area. But Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within, right? He said you are the light of the world, which means you are the energy of the world. And he even went so far back in John of saying, these things I do, ye shall do and even greater things. So what does that mean? Who are you? I and God are one. So I want you to please say that together with me. I and God are one. So with that premise, let's talk about that. Because in the metaphysical spiritual world, we talk a lot about words. But what do words mean then? And what do they mean in real world context of the physical world we live in? Okay? So Genesis, and I go back to this all the time, Genesis 1, I think it was 14, said, and God created us in his image. Okay? And then at the end of Genesis 1, it said, and everything God created was perfect or good. So what does that mean? That means anything God creates is perfectly whole and self-sustaining, completely able to function within the environment in which it finds itself. Which means no worries, no concerns. In today's vernacular, everything's cool. Chill. One that I always use all the time, sweatest thou not, the 11th commandment, okay? And we talk about that rather flippantly, and the problem is when you're in the middle of the crap, it's hard to believe that. Because what do you mean? I've lost my job, or I've done this, or I've done that, or I have a broken toe, or I have, whatever it is. I've been through heart attacks and strokes and all that stuff, okay? The big three as far as I know. And I'm here today, blessed and knowing that I and the Father are one. So it's that belief that keeps us moving, and why are we here? In other words, why do we come into physical manifestation? Now see, the idea on this is, in Genesis 1, we are created as spirit. So in other words, God is spirit, right? This is yes. See, we need to get that. God is spirit, which means God is incorporeal, without body, without form. It's an energy present in the universe. Okay? And it's very, very interesting. We were looking at a thing that I picked up from the web. By the way, I get a lot of, anybody here get newsletters? And I get newsletters on the breakthroughs in spiritual ideas. And I mentioned this last week, but I wanted to bring it up again. And a couple of us were looking at this morning. And really, I mentioned it last week, that there's been a new Nobel Prize in Physics given for somebody to prove the string theory, okay? And the string theory really means everything is connected. So it means when anything is in a presence, in the presence, it becomes part of it energetically. So that, and what the proof was, that when they had an atom here, and they had an atom 200 miles away, they could change this atom, and this atom changed. Which means we're looking at consciousness. So consciousness is energy. Everybody get it? It's not physical, it's not form, it's energy. And so within each one of us, we are spirit. Okay? I'll say it again. You are, we are, I am, they are. It is spirit, period. Now in Genesis 2, then he says, and God took the dust of the earth and created a body for man to function in the physical world. Because we can't function in the physical world, which we're in, without form. Everybody there? And so spirit was put into the body as form to move around in this conversation. And the metaphor I always use is like driving your car. Anybody agree we need a car in Washington these days? How do you get anywhere? You can't go to the grocery store without a car. And how do you get to church in the morning? Get in the car. But you are not the car, you drive the car. But does it look like you control the car? Yes. So the car goes where you choose it, but who decides where the car goes? You do. You see, that's the metaphor. Now, here's what has happened. The body has been taken overcharged, and the body, we'll call it the ego, has taken all these energies and over time created fear and doubt, and so it's created a new code telling the body what to do. Now, if the body is spirit, and we are spiritual within the body is a separate energy from the soul, or from us. So if the body has its own code that it starts running us from, it's now driving us. But what happened to the original code that was created in Genesis that has perfection and allows you to live in that perfection? What happened to it? Anybody familiar with computers that go crash? Anybody ever had it happen? Yeah. Panic, right? Sometimes you have to start all over again. And guess what? Starting over again is the death of the computer and then coming back again in a new form. Because what happens, what do? You take the information out of the old computer, put it in the new computer, and start over again. Anybody see a pattern that we call death in the mortal world? So all I'm trying to do is get clear on this. This is helping me get clear who I am, what I am, and I am spirit. You are spirit, we are spirit. And it's not our fault. The body has picked up a code and figured out how to co-opt the original code that we are as a Christian being and change the code to be in fear. So a word comes along like A Course in Miracles, A Course in Love, and other things that says there's only two things in life, either fear or love. Depending on which one we work from is our choice. You see it? So it really comes down to that point. And the issue then becomes, how do I get back to my original code we call the Christ, or the higher self, or the true self? And we use all those different words. Now, I'm way off from what I was planning, but it was like I was listening to Valerie. And we are beings, spiritual beings, living in a body, and the body is taken over and runs us. Because I'm sitting here right now, and I have shoulder pain. I'm sure some of you have issues in the body. So the body is saying, hey, listen to me. Rather than allowing the spirit to go ahead and rewire the body into its original configuration. See, the body's still fighting me. Do you hear it come up? So it becomes a process of who do we listen to, what do we do, how do we work with it? Which is truly a spiritual conversation rather than a physical conversation. So again, I go back and see, again, what are the teachings of Jesus? Now, one of the things that happens here, it's amazing to me, and on Thursday nights, Larry Henson and I are working with Reverend Velma on Talks and Truth by Charles Fillmore. And you know, it's really fascinating what he was saying all those years ago. And just for kicks, I'll read a little bit of it. Charles Fillmore talks on the truth of one. In other words, there's one person, one energy. Okay? And it's our choice which one we listen to. And he gets real clear in this conversation, which is what I'm trying to say. Okay? So the truth is, deep within you, at the core of each one of us, we are complete and whole. You already know. So I'm going to go into Course of Love. I want to do that right now. And my book's over here. And as a lot of you know, we've been working heavily on this. Is anybody ever read a book once and then go back and read it again and it's not the same book? Okay? Truthfully, and I'm just using this for emphasis, I think it's been 7 times I've read through this book in classes. I've never seen it before. So, okay, because this is something that I didn't see before. Okay, and I'd like to share this with you. Excuse me, RJ. Okay. And it says, a mind and heart joined in unity observes the truth, where once a mind and heart separated by illusion observe delusion. See, what we're dealing with is the body or the ego creates false illusions. So we're creation. I heard Randy say earlier, just in the idol talk, that everything we want or think we create, it's there. It's already there. And it's already there in form in the ethers, it just doesn't come into material form. So what we see is what we create. So one of the divine tools that you have as a child of God is your sight. Okay? And we've known all along the power is what we speak and what we see. Now, if I see with spiritual vision, what do I see? God never created problems. God never created disease. God never created lack. God never created jobs that quit. God never created any of that. So how was it created? The seeing of man had to create those issues. So they're all false illusions. So again, it says here, and the whole idea is to connect the mind and the heart. The mind is the seat of the ego, and it is what says, anybody familiar with what it's thinking? And oh my God, what happens if? And so that's where fear starts. Spirit sees only the goodness that it is. So I'm going to read this. I repeat, your observance of the truth of your brothers and sisters is the miracle that you're waiting to happen. If you observe health rather than disease, abundance rather than poverty, peace rather than conflict, happiness rather than sadness, disease, poverty, conflict, and sadness will be no more real to your brothers and sisters than it is to you. So again, what we see is what we create. See, you're a creator. Okay? Everything in our world we have created. So we are creators living in our own creation. Okay, so you are divinity in action. Everybody get it? I'll say it again. You, we, us, they are all divinity in action, creating the world we live in. And then we wonder why it gets messed up. And the truth, the mess up is we are not prone to mess up. There is a code within us that sees only good. Now, do things happen? Yes. Okay, and again, it's part of the illusion. So one of the things that Unity teaches in prayer, which the prayer chaplains are trained in, is I don't see the problem. See, if somebody comes to one of them or to someone that's trained in this, and you have, let's say, you have a sickness, you're sick, flu. Well, I don't pray that you get over the flu. I see you complete and whole without the disease. So I see what is true about you rather than what is not true about you. Do you get it? And we keep looking at what's not true and what we're worried about. And oh my God, you know, and of course everybody reminds us. I've been looking at a lot of TV lately, and we got a bank run. Is anybody familiar with that? We got a bank run. Oh my God, everybody's worried. I was thinking about calling my bank and making sure it was okay. See, that's the negativity that somebody sees, and here's the key. What people see is what we create. So it's learning to have sacred vision, which you are. Now, is that hard to take in? Yes, in my opinion it is. Because I'm seeing that I don't do it. Do you get it? It's crazy, it really is. So when I fear, I create that in you, and we create it in each other. Now, I was really fascinated with the conversation that occurred here this morning between Valerie and Randy and I and some others. The string therapy idea is when we're in proximity to each other, we actually influence each other energetically. So what's happening in the world right now? Believe it or not, there's more and more people waking up. And right now, the things that aren't working have to come to the surface. So we're all finding out what doesn't work for us, okay? But as a whole, we are generating a consciousness of it's going to be okay. See, it's deep within us is the spirit within. Jesus said, you are the light of the world, which means each one of us has the ability to change through the power that we have through visualizing and speaking anything we wish, anything we want, anything that is within, let's call it, sacred awareness. Okay? Yes.
So we're reading Spiritual Economics,
Yes.
the Prosperity
Which is a great book, by the way.
And Eric Butterworth talks about how the greatest influencer of the market is people's thoughts.
Yep.
He said that the public perception affects the market economy more than any other thing. And so, like, if we could all think positive thoughts and positive expectations about the market, it'll change.
Overnight. Let me read a little bit more. See, I can keep reading this all day, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, I promise. But it says here, the thought system of the truth. The truth is you're a child of God, you're spirit. Okay? And it says the thought system of the truth realizes that the external world is but a reflection of the internal world. Shall I say it again? In other words, what we see on the external is what we created from the internal. Okay? Thus, you can observe with your eyes closed as easily as you can observe with your eyes open. Anybody agree? Like if I ask you to close your eyes and imagine your house, you can look at your house. I can have you walk through the front door and you'll think about the front door. You'll even know what type of knob it is. In other words, you could go back and describe your house to me. Yes? Okay, so we live in the visual memory, and that memory keeps pumping out energy that keeps creating what we're seeing, which is stored within our brain. It's called subconscious, or whatever you would choose to call it. So who is the creator that we are looking at? And this is a hard message. Excuse me, it's an easy message. Do you hear it? Because we buy into the story that it's going to take forever to get enlightened, and we're going to have to be, we have to go through lifetimes. I don't know if that's a finished idea. I just know that we make it difficult because we see it difficult. Okay? All kinds of more stuff here. I need to do this because I had Reverend Velvet and I had this conversation on Thursday night because we were talking about this because Charles Fillmore was talking about this. And it says, it will seem at first if you are asked to deny the facts that you see before you, in order to observe something other than what is there. So the world will say scientifically, it's a fact because I see it. And remember, form in the material is an outcome of what? Thought, what you see. So it's just an illusion until you create it in form. Okay? Then it goes on and says, you must constantly remember that your observation is now an act of worship and of devotion, and that you are called to observe the truth rather than illusion, no matter how real illusion may still seem to be. To me, that puts the whole thing together. Okay? And I see, you know, when people talk about It's a Wonderful World, and when we have hymns that sing, we even sang Blue Skies, what a wonderful world, because we want you to be thinking those things. So together we literally can change where we are, and we can change each other's lives. And then how about the next word? Do you understand that we influence everybody we're around? And if we have family problems, which we all do, okay, how come those energies are present? So it's just a matter of you have the power to change things. What are you doing? Time. Okay. As you can see, she's my clock.
No, Tommy is, he sits forward and you know.
See, I even created that. Because I had a thought, what's my time? Okay? What my real desire in my heart is, I want people to understand that nobody does anything to me, nobody does anything to any of us. The only thing we do is create people to do it to us, through our thinking and through what we see.
It's tough.
Okay, it is. However, it's really a perfect world. And it was created originally. And how come it's not that way? The only outside force that has occurred is human beings living on the face of the earth thinking. Okay? So we can take it back. That's why I talk about the Garden of Eden consciousness, the Garden of Eden existence. And we can literally create that within our own lives. And it's also important to support each other. It really is. Thank you for the time you spend together when we come together. And you're chattering. And the chattering, believe it or not, makes a difference. I had a blast last week. Anybody? Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that. So thank you. I'm finished. What's next? All right?
Offering.
Offering? Okay.